Also, former Deputy Finance Minister and Obuasi Member of Parliament backtracks on support for private members' bill seeking to bar government appointee from purchasing state properties as he lists new terms.
It won't be a bad law, but before such a law would receive the signature of, say, myself and others, we need to be sure that the two caucuses are in agreement.
Also coming up, chiefs and the people of Damfa bare teeth at government officials, accusing them of illegally grabbing lands in the area. We have details of these and many more coming up in the next 30 minutes. Stay tuned. And this is Starr Midday News. I am Sewami here. This afternoon, former Deputy Finance Minister Dr. Kaisel Atufor and businessman Richard Jakpa have been acquitted and discharged by the Court of Appeal in the controversial ambulance trial. A panel of 3 in a 2-1 majority decision said that Justice Ifya Sewa Asariboche's earlier ruling on submission of no case for the accused to open their defense was in error. Justice Kweku Teria Akabuafo and Justice Philip Bright Mensah granted the requests and acquitted and discharged them, while Justice Pukwa Champon, the presiding judge, dismissed their request. Our legal affairs correspondent, Mutala Inusa, joins me on the line. Unfortunately, we do not have him yet. But the third accused person and businessman, Richard Jakpa, has also been speaking to Star News.
Thank you.
The Court of Appeal is saying that you are a free man.
I'm a free man.
Yes.
Yes.
What do you want to say about that? What do you want to say now that the Court of Appeal is...
I'm waiting for my lawyer to come out. Yeah. I'll have the right time to address the press.
You have held your opinion that you have done nothing wrong. The Court of Appeal in a 2-1 majority is saying that...
Starr 103.5 FM.
What do you make of that? You have been consistent with this.
Yes, because I knew I had done nothing wrong. And this was clearly a political witch hunt, and the court has vindicated me.
Okay. What would you be saying to Ghanaians now that the Court of Appeal is saying that you're a free man?
Oh, well, what I'll tell Ghanaians is that we still have judges of integrity in our legal system. We still have them. Even though this government has managed to capture the judicial system, we still have other judges here who still maintain their integrity. So they still hope for Ghana.
All right. Thank you.
You heard the voice of the third accused person and businessman, Richard Jakpa. Let's head over to the court and get an understanding of what this is all about. And Mutala Inusa is our legal affairs correspondent. Mutala, thank you very much for joining us. Walk us through what transpired in court.
So, as earlier indicated, you notice that the Court of Appeal, a 3-member panel of the Court of Appeal, has taken a decision. The decision is that Mr. Richard Jakpa, the businessman, and Dr. Kaisel Atufor, the former Deputy Minister for Finance, have done nothing wrong. They have no case for them to answer, for which reason they should be called upon to respond to charges before them at the High Court. And what the court is saying is that the March 30, 2023 decision by Justice Ifya Sewa Asariboche to order them to open their defense after the prosecution had called their witnesses is an error. And for that matter, that cannot hold. The Court of Appeal is setting aside the decision of the High Court as directed sometime March 30. And in fact, 2 of the panel, Justice Kweku Teria Akabuafo and Justice Philip Bright Mensah, as it were, said that if there are people to blame, those who can be held responsible for this whole ambulance issue is not the Deputy Finance Minister Atufor, and it is not also Mr. Richard Jakpa, but then the Ministry of Health should be held responsible, accountable for this whole mess, which is surrounding this whole ambulance issue. So for that matter, the order or evidence at the High Court for which reason the accused persons are called upon to open their defense cannot be reliable. Consequently, they have the view that the accused persons be acquitted and discharged. And what it means is that they have to walk free. The Attorney General cannot bring out the same charges against them in relation to any ambulance issue. But meanwhile, Justice Opoku Echiampo, who presided over the panel, dissented and was of the view that Justice Ifya Sewa Asariboche's ruling on March 30 was not in error, and in his view, the accused persons should be ordered to open their defense. We know that already Dr. Kakela Tuforsin has closed his case. Mr. Richard Japa has also is in a witness box calling witnesses. And in fact, today, he was expected to call the third of his supreme witnesses. And unfortunately for him, the Court of Appeal is saying that he should no longer appear at the High Court to stand trial. What that means is that the sitting at the High Court, which was initially fixed for 12 o'clock today, is not coming on. But just before I let this go, I have with me counsel for Mr. Richard Japa just before he opened his defense along the line. Mr. Richard Japa, he started the case for Mr. Richard Japa here. Dr. Sonyobi, counsel, you are welcome to Starr FM. Good afternoon.
Good afternoon.
Yes. Initially,
To your viewers.
Initially, you were holding the fort for Mr. Japa. At this particular point, as counsel in the case, in fact, you are no longer in the case, but every day I see you in court and order. How does this day feel like?
Star 103.5 FM.
Because let me place on record that the appeal which was ruled upon today was filed by me. I filed the appeal against the overruling of the submission of no case. And when we filed the appeal, I was sure in my mind that the Court of Appeal will uphold our appeal, and it has done today. Let me also place on record that I am standing for Ghana because at one point, Big C offered to pay 2 million euros, and I was in charge of the plea bargain. I wrote all the letters for the plea bargain. How on earth the Attorney General back out of the plea bargain in which $2 million euros was to be paid to the state is what I cannot fathom. But I will only say that this is an eye-opener. Those who have refused to accept 2 million euros for mitigation, who have caused financial loss to the nation, we are all happy that it has turned out. And let me also congratulate every single council who has been part of this case. There have been various councils. I came in at one point. We did our best at different times. And let me also congratulate Thaddeus, who is the current lawyer for Japa. He has done marvelously well. It's a teamwork. And I have always come to the court because I started coming in support of Atuforsen. Then when lawyer Costa left the case, I was officially engaged. That's why I filed the application for submission for overruling of the submission of no case. It is a good day for Ghana legal system. At least there is hope that the court is up to its task.
Okay. So that is clearly counsel for at a point in time was representing Mr. Japa, and he indeed filed this submission of no case at the Court of Appeal. And today he has been vindicated enough.
All right. Mutala, thank you for those updates. But quickly before you go, what does all of this mean for the case at the High Court? Hello, Mutala. Okay, we apologize for that. Mutala Inusa, there is our legal affairs correspondent speaking with a member of the legal team for businessman and third accused person, Richard Japa. Now, the minority in Parliament has scuttled the vetting of 2 Supreme Court Justice nominees, describing the exercise as illegal. The Speaker, Alban Bagbin, referred the nomination of Justice Sophia Rosetta Esa and Professor Richard Frimpong Opong to the Appointment Committee for vetting and report to the House. Now, in a preliminary remark at the sitting, the Minority Chief Whip, Governs Kwame Agbuja, expressed fury at the leadership of the Majority Caucus for convening the meeting at the blind side of the minority members of the committee. Majority Leader, who was just being acquitted and discharged by the Court of Appeal, Minority Leader, I beg your pardon, Dr. Kaisala Tuforsin, questioned the clandestine nature of the vetting arrangements. Let's speak to Ibrahim Al-Hassan. He's our parliamentary correspondent. But Ibrahim, thank you very much for your time. Before we get into this latest one by the minority, what has been the reaction to the acquittal and discharge of Dr. Kaisala Tuforsin in Parliament?
Well, so the first reaction is that Dr. Kaisala Tuforsin didn't even bother going to the High Court.
So he headed straight to Parliament to be party to the vetting of the two justices nominee of the Supreme Court. And it's a reaction of excitement. And in fact, Dr. Kesela Soforsen was the first to bring the news to a parliamentary platform that I was on, even in court when the decision was handed down, indicating that his side had won the case. If you engage the minority members, they tell you that this has been a long time coming and that justice has finally been done. And what was being done to their leader was a mark of injustice, nothing more, nothing less. And the verdict that just came from the Court of Appeal is testament to the fact that there is still justice in the country and rule of law will override any political or personal interest. Also, our excitement, but of course, with some level of caution, because the AG has not indicated a way forward after this particular judgment that was handed down as to whether the state will head to the Supreme Court or not.
All right. Thank you very much, Ibrahim, for that. Now, let's talk about the substantive issue. What is the minority's problem this time?
Well, this problem started brewing a few days ago when the Speaker questioned why the President, and not just President Akufo-Addo, Presidents have had unfettered opportunity, chance to populate the apex court of the land through nominations as justices to the Supreme Court. And he then admonished members of Parliament to take a special interest in a legislation that could place a cap or a limit on a number of justices that could be appointed to the Supreme Court. We all know what happened when the Shehu MP and immediate past Minister for Science and Environment, Dr. Kwekwe Friye, decided to challenge the Speaker. He was asked to be ushered out of the Chamber of Parliament by the marshals, of course, upon the instruction from the Speaker. And so it's been a thorny issue. Now, yesterday, before Speaker commenced proceedings, he had indicated that today, and he was sending a signal to virtually everybody, and of course, he was addressing the government officials, that the House will not sit 1 hour past today, meaning the House will rise today. And that's because these referrals had been made to the Appointments Committee. The vetting of these two justices of the Superior Court nominees had not been done, and it was expected that it will be done today. A report will be put together today, Sewa. The report will come to the plenary for a decision to be made before the House goes on the recess today. What the minority members have done is to boycott activities of the Appointments Committee whenever their leader has a date in court. So today, the majority expected the same template, that only majority members will show up and then vet these two Superior Court nominees. Guess what? The Appeals Court has something different for the majority members of the committee. And per the decision from the Appeals Court, it meant that the minority members then showed up. They had not been informed. They had not been notified about the process. And that's how come Dr. Kesela Soforsen and then Gavin Kwame Abuja raised some level of hell. It led to some disruptions and some chaotic scenes, compelling the vice chairperson, and that's Patricia Piaget, because, of course, Joseph Osei-Usu is absent, who usually chairs the Appointments Committee. The committee then suspended sitting to go and engage the minority members of the committee and then see the way forward. Chances are the vetting might not happen today, and even if it happens, the two might not have their fate determined by the plenary today. The House will have to go on break and then return to attend to their fate. So,
thank you very much. Ibrahim Al-Hassan is our parliamentary correspondent. Still on Parliament, let's listen to the minority on this.
Agreed that these appointments are very important. These are lifetime appointments. And once they sit in the Supreme Court, there will be there's no opportunity for any Ghanaian to try to revoke the appointment. These nominees are going to replace Supreme Court judges that are not going on retirement, some of them till November. So it was clear that we have time to make sure that as outstanding practice of this house, we publish this nomination by the president in national dailies and get memoranda from the public so that we can thoroughly, the people of Ghana must be part of this process. It's a serious process. We all agreed.
Even this press, we have to struggle to bring them.
But we all agreed. I mean, let the point be made. Nobody has anything against the Supreme Court.
Let me clear this one.
But we must do the right thing.
You heard members of the minority in Parliament reacting to the vetting of the Supreme Court nominees. Away from that, former Deputy Finance Minister and Obuasi West Member of Parliament Kweku Kwating has backtracked on his support for a private member's bill seeking to bar government appointees from purchasing state properties. Earlier reports suggested that the bill, which is being spearheaded by the North Tongue Member of Parliament Samuel Okudzeto-Ablakwa, has the backing of the former chairman of the Finance Committee. But Mr. Kwating, in an exclusive interview with Starr News Parliamentary Affairs correspondent Ibrahim Al-Hassan, says until both sides of the House agree on the bill, he will not support it.
We have not really appended our signatures to any such bill yet. I think that has to be put on record. The idea was suggested by some members of parliament. Some of us think it will not be a bad law because in the past, under the NDC administration, there have been accusations of people in influential positions using their position to buy state assets at prices that were not right. Under this administration, too, we've heard similar accusations. There's nothing wrong with having a law that tidies up how that could be done. So in principle, it won't be a bad law. But before such a law would receive the signature of, say, myself and others, we need to be sure that the two caucuses are in agreement so that this does not become some political football and one side wants it, one side doesn't want it. So once the idea was suggested, we did say, yes, it's a good idea. We are happy to support. But I think those of us who have been discussing that bill are now agreed that we should go to our various caucuses. If the caucuses are happy, in fact, it might even be our leaders who would champion it for us, even if their signatures will not be there. So that is where we are now. We have not, in fact, we've not even seen the final bill that will be laid. We have not done the consultation. It is the idea that we have all bought into. But whether or not I and the NPP members whose name have been mentioned and others would support it would depend on the fact that it's a bipartisan. Because when the idea started, the discussion was that it ought to be a bipartisan bill. And so we're hoping that it will be bipartisan. If we cannot get consensus right now, we need to understand why, see what changes we can. But we will not, I, for instance, will not support it unless I'm sure that it's a bipartisan bill.
He also rubbished assertions that his latest letter to the party is born out of bitterness. Mr. Kwating, who is the immediate past chairman of the Finance Committee of Parliament, in an open letter asserts that since independence, the country has constantly engaged in overspending and borrowing to finance the overspending, likening the country's running to a Ponzi scheme. He insists his advice to government is genuine.
And it's partly the way this matter has also been reported. So you see a headline and it says, we are running the economy like a Ponzi scheme. And if you don't get the context and what I mean by we, you interpret it to be the NPP administration. And of course, there may be other people belonging to party, especially party communicators, who get upset. And then because they are upset, they say, oh, he's saying that they look for reasons why an NPP man would say that. That's where those things are coming from. But if you read the whole write-up and you see, you will not come to that conclusion. And why should I be bitter? I am not bitter at all. Recently, I was invited to take up a ministerial position in government, not a deputy minister, a ministerial position. And I said the work we are doing in parliament is also helpful to government business. And please let me remain here. My superior says, okay, we hear you. They left me here. Why should I be bitter? I have no reason to be bitter.
Meanwhile, economist and professor of finance at the University of Ghana Business School, Godfred Bokbin, has lauded the Obuasi Member of Parliament for his recommendations on the economy. He spoke earlier on Morning Star.
A lot of the things that Honorable Kwesi has said, these are real. These are things happening. And the earlier we admit, not only that we admit, but we put in place the right mechanism to make sure that this country is governed well, that democratic dividend trickles down to the ordinary Ghanaian. Yes, so far, if you look at what Honorable Kwesi has said, and you look at the totality of how we have managed this economy, those who have actually benefited from this are just the politicians and the elite. Growth development, as we say, has not trickled down to the ordinary, not at all. So even when, and it's also very important that it's coming at this time, that government is celebrating recovery. This recovery is not people focused. This is not a recovery that is carrying Ghanaians along. Okay, so, and it's a very pricey recovery, very expensive. Not any time in our history did we have to go through something like this. Of course, we've had challenges of varying degrees. We've always tried to resolve that through fiscal consolidation, largely, okay, through fiscal consolidation. But now we are at a stage where fiscal consolidation is no longer enough. Now we have to do debt restructuring, okay? And very expensive, to the extent that even pensioners have to take it at Ministry of Finance. I mean, you can imagine taking citizens of that age group through that. So there's no confidence in the country. It's as though there's no leader in the country. It's as simple as that, okay? Each one for himself, and maybe God for us all. First, the president from 2025 must demonstrate credible leadership. What Ghanaians need right now is credible leadership on the table, that governance support, that yes, this is the way we are going. We believe in that. It's very important. You see, it will help in the stability of the currency.
Away from that, the chiefs and people of Damfa, Amrahia and Kweyman are accusing officials of the Lands Commission of conniving with government officials to sell lands belonging to the community. At the demonstrations registered their displeasure, the chief of Damfa, Nichu Afutu Brimpon IV, called on the IGP to move quickly to stop the illegal sand and gravel winning at the Amrahia Dairy Farms land and sanction the policemen offering protection for such illegal operations. My colleague Obed Kingaglo has the story.
Prior to 2020, the heads of Kweyman, Damfa, and Amrahia families appealed to the government, acting through the Lands Commission, for the release of the Amrahia Dairy Farm land, which has been left fallow for many years. Subsequently, through the intervention of the Vice President Dr. Mahmoud Baumia, some parcels of the subject land, purported to be 40% of the total land compulsorily acquired under the executive instrument, was released to the stated families. But the angry chiefs, who were in red smoke to vent their spleen, say the Lands Commission has since refused to release the land documents.
Alex Kwenu of Lands Commission had a tall order to tell us that 254 acres of land from our land has been given for affordable housing. And the 40% we were given, if Lands Commission is not prepared to give us the land, where they carve and show to us that your 40%, this is where you are going to take it, and the retention area is, we are not going to tamper with the retention area.
According to the angry chiefs, the Amrahia Dairy Farm land has now been subjected to very serious illegal and indiscriminate sand winning activities under the protection of armed policemen.
Today, this is what they are doing on the land. The very land I handed the document to us in 2020, of which we voted for him, was the land today. They have captured it. The government officials, led by Kremejato, and in connived with property fraud, one Chief Commander Issa and Commander Bawa.
Some livid princesses also warned government officials buying the land to back off.
I'm a president here. I'm a Ghana. I'm a Gama Sipono. I'm a going to boom me. Now I'm a going to boom me. mofia mo wanya waje me wa Kumase lo Asante ganyonye apele shikpo ya Asante lo enye ya Kumase ne apele shikpo ya Kumase shiganyo apele mani ai no Kumase bi apele ame Kumase ni ai na igbe ma apele igbe mani ai Fantenu apele Fanteni ai moko kagamaka ba apele ni ai bia ne bo moko fe moko wa ba na bo ga shikpo no ni gamante ni na isi bensi ni bo ko e wale ni bo lo go ba to ganyoko no to ko squale na to shikpo ne ka bo ka mo bo o ka mani abo shikpo fe
ene mene ani wa agbemene fun bie wa sa agbemene fun bie shikpo ni je bo no ni e ko o lo me aga ya pele abuka ka ya agbeme be ko bi tell a play me nye jonye won pada na go for ado fai ke eva se won pa me fai aga shikpo wa me shi ame aga me gamani gamano ni won pa me fai wa ganyu won pa me fai won pa me gbele fai won pa me wala fai na do e chabo ni de December pe o ya e wa fe mo noko.
The angry chiefs are therefore calling on the Vice President to direct the Lands Commission and government officials who have secretly taken a greater portion of the 40% of the land meant for the families to return same to the families as lawful owners.
It's now time to bring you the latest in the world of sports. I'm joined by my colleague Jones Aji. Jones, good afternoon. What do you have for us?
Good afternoon. So finally, Ghana had their parts in the 2024 Paris Olympic Games. Ghana's Harry Stacey finished 7th in the men's 100 meters freestyle event at the Olympic Games. The debutants clocked a time of 51.12 seconds in heat 4 of lane 6 of the round, which was not enough to secure a slot in the semi-finals. This time is below his personal best of 50.57 seconds achieved at the African Aquatics Swimming Championship, but it is a national record. His outing was Ghana's first at the ongoing Paris Games. And next up for Ghana is Josely Mensah, who would participate in swimming on the 3rd of August. Here is Harry speaking after the heat.
It was good. I mean, like, just the crowd was amazing. Just seeing my family in the crowd as well, seeing the Ghana people coming to support me. I heard them all cheering. So I'm really grateful for the support. As for my swim, it wasn't my best. Normally I'm first to 15 meters or second, and then also first to the turn. And this time around, I think I was around 4th. So my first 50 wasn't my best. But the second 50 coming back, I did what I normally do. So I'm not too mad at the performance, but it wasn't my best showing. So building blocks for the future, for sure. Yeah, there's been just learning experience after learning experience. Definitely, yeah, building blocks for the future. Hoping to come back for the next Olympics. And I've learned a lot already. So yeah, just looking forward to these next 4 years, train hard. Knew a couple of people in my heat, and it was fun racing them. And yeah, just a good overall experience. Yeah, happy with it.
Arsenal new signing Ricardo Calafiori says he cannot wait to get going and says he's super excited that signing for Arsenal.
Like 2 months almost with the coach and with Edu. They tried to convince me, but I was already really convinced to come here. And for me, it's the best project that I can have to improve as a player. That's it. Yeah, as I said, there were other clubs, but now I don't care anymore. I'm here, and I want to improve to win trophies. And as I said, it's the best project for me because the team is young, the team is strong, and I like this. Finally, I'm here. I know I have to start day by day, improving with the trainings, but as soon as I'm really fit, I'm gonna help the team. I hope. I don't know. I have this good feeling, you know. I cannot explain, but for sure you were gonna see on the pitch that was the right choice.
Can you tell us what Mikel's told you about your role in the team? You can obviously play in different positions.
I didn't speak a lot about the role. I just want to play and improve. We'll see also about the team.
All right, that'll be all for sports. My name is Jones Aji.
Thank you very much, Jones, for bringing us the latest in the world of sports. Moving on, the fate of Gen Z demonstrators slated for tomorrow is in shambles as a High Court presided over by Justice Mary Mami Yanzu has granted an application preventing the 76-day protest from taking place. This decision follows an application filed by the police service, which raised concerns about public safety. The police argued that if the demonstration were allowed as planned, it could jeopardize public order and disrupt essential services. Convener of the demonstration and executive director of ASEPA, Mensa Thompson, questioned the basis for the police's concerns. He pledged to file another request for the protest.
Nowhere in the Public Order Act does the law prevent the holding of special events during election years. And so we are indeed at a loss on what point of law, on what basis the court has granted this application. But we want to entreat our supporters to remain calm, all the young people of this country to remain calm, to not lose hope. We are poised in our efforts to ensure that their right, their democratic right to demonstrate, will be respected by the state.
And that's how we end today's edition of Starr Midday News. For more news updates, visit www.starfm.com.gh. I am Sewa Mihe. Have a good afternoon.